Welcome to Landry's Earth Expedition. This is where we will explore the layers of the Earth, including the Earth's crust, the mantle, the outer core, and the inner core. We begin the tour on the Earth's crust. There are 8 elements that comprise most of the Earth's crust. The first is oxygen, which comprises 47% of the crust and is usually associated with silicon, which is the next largest element in the crust composition, which comprises 28% of the Earth's crust. Then aluminum, which makes up about 8% of the crust, sodium, which 4% of the crust, and calcium, potassium, iron, and magnesium. The last remaining percentage is attributed to the 84 other elements at around 1.4%. The ground we stand on is the continental crust. There are different types of rock which can be found on the continental crust. The oldest foundations are often called basement rock, which are composed of mixtures of several types of rocks such as granite and volcanic. It is estimated that some basement rocks are around 4 billion years old. There are younger layers called platforms, which are made of sedimentary rocks. When platforms are associated with basement rock, they are called cratons. At the edges of the cratons are the continental margins, which are also made of sedimentary rocks. Continental margins can be moved by tectonic plates and can form natural landforms such as mountain ranges. Oceanic crust is more temporary than the continental crust because it is produced through mid-oceanic ridges. Oceanic crust is formed by magma, however, it occurs underwater. Oceanic crust has a limited lifespan because when it encounters continental crust, it is pushed underneath the continental, where it eventually returns to magma. Oceanic crusts are only around 4.3 miles thick. We are now passing through the Earth's lithosphere, which are the mantle and crust above that are cool enough to be tough and elastic. The lithosphere is a rigid outermost shell of a rocky planet defined on the basis of the mechanical properties. This is the asthenosphere, which is the part of the mantle near the crust, about 50 to 100 kilometers down, that is more soft and plastic. The asthenosphere is composed of matter in the molten or semi-molten state. Its temperature is normally between 1,400 degrees Celsius to 3,000 degrees Celsius. The very high temperatures in this layer cause everything, including rocks, to melt. It is composed mainly of silicates of iron and magnesium. Their very slow motion is the cause of plate tectonics, a process associated with continental drift, earthquakes, volcanoes, and the formation of mountains. The mantle is a layer between the crust and the outer core. The mantle consists of hot, dense, semi-solid rock and is about 2,900 kilometers thick. In the mantle, temperatures range between 500 to 900 degrees Celsius. At the upper boundary with a crust to over 4,000 degrees Celsius at the boundary with the core. Upper mantle. Below the asthenosphere lies another layer, stronger and more solid than the asthenosphere. All layers between the crust down to a depth of about 670 kilometers are known as the upper mantle. Lower mantle. The rest of the mantle between the upper mantle and the core is known as the lower mantle. It is denser and hotter than the upper mantle. Traveling still deeper within the Earth, we are now encountering the Earth's outer core, which extends to a depth of around 3,000 miles beneath the surface. This outer core is made up of superheated liquid molten lava. It is at a magma-like liquid layer that surrounds the inner core and creates Earth's magnetic field as the outer core moves around the inner core. The outer core is about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Celsius. The inner core is so hot it causes all the metal in the outer core to melt into liquid magma. The outer core is composed of iron and some nickel. This is very few rocks and iron and nickel ore left in the outer core because of the inner core melting all the metal into liquid magma. The inner core is the final layer of the Earth. It is a solid ball made of metal. The inner core is about 1,250 meters thick and is the second smallest layer of the Earth. Although it is one of the smallest, the inner core is also the hottest layer. The inner core is a solid ball composed of an element named knife. Ni for nickel and Fe for ferrum, also known as iron. The inner core is about 5,000 to 6,000 degrees Celsius. It melts all metals ores in the outer core, causing it to turn into liquid magma. To give you an idea of just how hot the inner core of the Earth is, it is actually hotter than the surface of the sun. The hard metallic material in the core is balled up in the center of the Earth because it's the heaviest material on the planet. When Earth was formed about 4.5 billion years ago, all the heavier substances sank toward the middle. The lighter and less dense materials, such as air and water, stayed closer. Inside the core, the metals are constantly moving. The core of the Earth rotates regularly. Some scientists say the inner core actually rotates faster than the rest of the planet. As the liquid outer core moves, it can change the location of the magnetic north and south poles. Hope you enjoyed your tour.